Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Kay. This is Kay Unscripted, the place we recap all things reality TV. So I'm back with another recap, and you already hear my voice is sounding a little bit scruffy. My voice is still not completely back yet. I am still recovering from the cold, but I'm here and I'm ready to give you this recap. But before we get into it, I just wanted to mention that I decided to switch back to my original setting because somehow my views have been decreasing dramatically, and I'm not sure what's going on. I'm not sure if it's YouTube, but moving forward, this is how it's going to be. So I just want to thank you so much for being here. Thank you to my amazing subscribers who have joined me on this journey. Thank you for your support. I am so happy to have you on this journey with me. And if you're new here, welcome. Hit that subscribe button. Y'all, we're trying to get this channel going. So hit that subscribe button, like this video for more recaps like this one. Now let's get into the Real Housewives of Atlanta season 16, and we're already on episode 11. The season is running by. Let's get into it, y'all. So in the first scene, Charles and Angela, they're out on a date. And the whole time, I'm just checking for the lady in the back. The lady in the back, she's checking herself out. Hey, girl. Now, y'all, every time Angela gets to talking about Charles, she's going to hype her man up, okay? She's going to let us know all of Charles's credentials. But every time we see Charles, he's just not with Angela and her shenanigans. She's like, give me a kiss. And he's like, what do you need a kiss for? He's like, Angela, why are you putting up for the cameras? You know, we don't do that. He's probably not into PDA. He's not into all of that extra stuff. But Angela wants people to see that Charles loves her. Of course, he loves her. I mean, they've been married for a while. They know each other. I guess he's just not the touchy-feely kind of guy, you know. So she knows who she married. So she's telling Charles that she needs to talk to her sister. And remember, her sister and her daughter Amari has some argument, and her sister said some disrespectful stuff to Amari. And so she's saying that she's done so much for her family, and it's almost like a slap in the face. And her sister doesn't appreciate anything that she's done, all of the efforts and everything that she's put in to make sure that they're good. So she's asking Charles, how do you handle that? Because he said he's been through something similar. And Charles is like, you walk the other way. You stop giving to these people. I'm going to have to agree with Charles on this one. I feel like sometimes family can take advantage of you, especially when you're the one that's providing and taking care and showing that you can, especially when they feel like they can manipulate you and get anything out of you. They will disrespect you, okay? So I'm going to have to agree with Charles on that. Sometimes you have to set boundaries with your family, and that's just that. Angela says in her confessional that she likes to go to the light route, but Charles goes straight for the jugular. I just feel like Charles is a no-nonsense kind of person. He calls it for what it is. He sees it for what it is. He doesn't let anybody take advantage of him. This is what it is. Angela's like, Charles, have my back. He's like, do you want me to sit behind you? I can have your back. Charles ain't playing, okay? He doesn't have time for the games or the shenanigans. Angela says that she's going to plan a date with her mom so that they could finally sit down and talk about everything. And I think that is the best way forward. Up next, Cynthia is meeting up with Shamea to talk about what happened the night before. You know, the big blow up between she and Porsha. So Cynthia's like, how are you doing? And she said she didn't really get much sleep the night before because of everything that happened. And she's reading a text that she sent to her mom about how much she felt sadness, and her mom said that she's going to pray for her. Shamea said that she felt a little bit blindsided and that she would never give the ladies an opportunity to talk about her relationship with Porsha. But honey bunch, you did. The minute you went to Angela and telling her whatever was going on between her relationship with you and Porsha, you invited them in. When you sat with Brit and you were talking about your relationship with Porsha, that was also an invitation for them to have an opinion of what was going on in your friendship. You should have let them know, hey, we're not going to talk about that. Porsha and I are good. And when you meet with her, the two of you will talk. But you gave an invitation to the other ladies to let you know what they think about your relationship with Porsha. Shamia is getting emotional because she's obviously hurt about what's going on between she and Porsha. And so Cynthia's like, girl, I don't even know what happened to get y'all to this point. And she's like, well, basically, whatever I shared with the ladies, they went back and told Porsha in a weird way. You should not have been talking to them about your friendship with Porsha, period. She's saying that the ladies have definitely came to her and said, she's not your friend. Is she really your friend? And girl, again, you shut that down. I said in my last recap that it was definitely some instigating happening that caused them both to be clashing with each other. Y'all shouldn't have allowed anybody to let y'all or tell y'all what your friendship is. If someone comes to you and shares some concern, you say, thank you very much for your concern. You know, on the sidelines, you look into it, but you don't go talking about your friend with somebody that you've barely known. Shamia continues to share with Cynthia that somehow Portia's mom has also been telling Portia to be careful with Shamia. We did see Portia and her mom have that conversation on screen, but we did not see Portia and Shamia having that conversation on screen. So that is to say that this is definitely that some conversation that they had off camera. As to why Shamia is bringing this on camera, again, this is another thing to make Portia look bad, in my opinion, because something about the mothers should not be brought. And then when the producers are asking her, well, what happened between your mom and Portia's mom, she doesn't want to talk about it. So why did you bring it up in the first place? Don't talk about it if you don't want to discuss it. I've seen a lot of people saying that Miss Diana doesn't hold Portia accountable. Now, we don't know what went on between Portia's mom and Shamia's mom. They used to be best friends. They have their guard up. They're each protecting their daughter. Shamia's mom might be saying, oh, Portia is still your friend, but Miss Diana has her guard up for whatever the reason may be. So she might be just putting her daughter on and telling her, be careful. Has Portia listened to her? No. She still continued to be friends with Shamia. So that means that she has a mind of her own. So all of y'all in the comments saying, oh, Portia has always been an enemy to Shamia and all of the things dragging Portia. I'm not saying that she's the best individual in the world, but their relationship is literally being scrutinized by every single thing that she does. Even on the weekend when she wished Shamia happy birthday, if she didn't send her a happy birthday post, everybody would be talking about it. She sent her post, they weren't satisfied with the caption that she gave. Y'all be doing the most. The fans, y'all be doing the most. So we get a few snippets. Kelly's at her restaurant cooking up some chicken. Brit trying on outfits for her husband Mike. Shamia is in the studio and she's picking out her single. So in the next scene, Cynthia, Angela and Portia, they're meeting up and they're going bowling. They're having a good old time. They're having fun. Then they get to sitting down and Cynthia asked Portia how PJ is doing. She said PJ is doing good, but she's a little bit sensitive at this time because she's seeing her mom less because Portia is working and she's out of the house more than usual. Portia says that PJ has been asking for Simon. She calls him Papa. And she told PJ that he's working, and PJ's like, well, he's working too much. She's clearly missing Simon. And so Portia says she didn't know how to handle that situation. So she sent Simon a text letting him know that PJ was missing him and he left them unread. Meanwhile, he's on social media blasting her every other day trying to ruin her life. Portia starts getting emotional because she said that they had a good family. Say what you'll want about her, but she's entitled to feel how she feels going through this divorce. We don't know what it was like in closed doors with Simon and Portia, and we know people already have their opinion of their relationships, but this is how she feels, and I can see that her emotions, they seem really genuine. She's saying that she feels like even with the Shamia situation, she's just not in a good place to deal with it right now, and that's understandable. Cynthia tells her, well, she did meet with Shamea, and she told Shamea that she think it's good for them to have a little space and a little time before they regroup and talk. Porsha then says that at her Pampered by Porsha event, she really did want to celebrate the ladies individually and just for them to have peace and come together. She just didn't appreciate the narrative that makes her seem like she's the horrible friend and that Shamia is so loyal to her and how she's putting um Shamia in the shadows and all of that stuff that had been said from the other ladies. Angela asked her, well, how is she feeling? She said she did feel like that caught her off guard and she tries her best to be the best version of herself that she can be. But going through a divorce and how messy it is she showing up 100% or as the best friend that she should be? Absolutely not. And I commend Portia for at least being accountable in that moment, for admitting that maybe she's not showing up as her best self, knowing that she's going through a divorce. For some people, that may not be enough because we can also say that Shamia is going through a lot because she has a sickly child and she has so many health issues that she's dealing with. And so she may be still showing up for Portia and her divorce. But like I said, we're not in these people's friendship. We don't know what happens in closed doors. We're not there when they're off camera. We don't hear the conversations that they have. We don't see everything. We don't see the full dynamic of their friendship. We're just seeing a piece of it. Portia says that she just doesn't have the capacity to divorce her friend right now because she's already going through a divorce. And I understand that completely. And maybe, Portia, you should let Shamia know that maybe you're not showing up as the best version of yourself, but you need to fight for that relationship because she looks like she's on her way out. Up next, Drew is on her way home. She's on a call with her mom and she's talking about how much of a rock star her mom is because her mom is going through grieving the loss of her husband, Drew's dad, and she's dropping everything to be there for her daughter, Drew, who's going through a divorce. Apparently, there had to be an emergency meeting because Ralph and his attorney are trying to get Drew's lawyer recused from the case. I don't know what that's about, but like I said, so much tea has come out about the divorce between Drew and Ralph, and there's just so much going on. Production shows us Drew having a conversation with her business manager who's saying that apparently Ralph tried to claim that he's the rightful owner of Drew Sidor LLC. Now, in the unsealed court documents, allegedly Drew went ahead and closed Juicidora LLC and she opened a new LLC and transferred the funds from Juicidora LLC to that new LLC that she opened. According to the divorce, she's not supposed to close any business that they have because she and Ralph, this is marital property. So they will be sharing that property. So I guess this is what Ralph is trying to claim. Y'all, I don't know the full details, but like I said, you can head over to attorney Simone's channel. She broke down every single thing about that. So she's telling her mom that her lawyer told her that Ralph's lawyer is filing a motion to recuse Drew's lawyer from the case because the lawyer went and created the other company that I mentioned earlier for Drew. According to the law, the lawyer is not supposed to do that. So she's saying that Ralph wants 40% of Drew Sidora LLC that she incorporated in 2005, and then he wants 40% of any new entity, meaning the new business that her lawyer went and opened for her. Because again, this was in the marital stage. They do not have a prenup, so everything has to be shared from the judge. The judge decides how the property is shared. So the fact that Drew went ahead and had her lawyer close Drew Sidora LLC and create a new LLC to have the funds transferred to this new LLC, this wasn't supposed to happen. This cannot happen according to the law. She said in her confessional that she was definitely taken off guard when Ralph did what he did because apparently he does well for himself. He never shared the details of his finances because they have separate accounts, but it's definitely raised an eyebrow for her, and she doesn't understand why Ralph wants to drain her dry because she's providing for their children. And the mom is saying, well, he's not even paying for child support. He's not giving you a dime for anything. And they're trying to help him to take care of these children. Now, have you ever asked yourself, why did the judge rule for Ralph to stay in the house? Because he's paying all of the bills. He's paying the mortgage. All of the bills are literally in his name. Drew and her lawyer tried to outsmart the law by transferring the funds from Drew LLC to a new LLC, hoping that Ralph wouldn't have found out. But the lawyer he has, she's on their necks. She's finding out everything. She's saying that when she got to the house, Ralph apparently changed the code for the security system, and he had to be the one to enter through his basement to come upstairs to open the door for her. She ended up staying at a hotel because it was 1 in the morning. And all I'm gonna say is this is a very, very messy divorce. So her mom is saying that Ralph doesn't realize that all of the scheming and lying and his conniving behind is messing up his children. And Drew is saying that she's just ready to move on. And she's telling her mom to pray for her. And I really just hope that these two find peace and just be done with each other and try to be the best co-parents that you can be to your children. Up next, Angela's mom comes over to visit her, and Angela is saying that she and her mom has always been close. Her mom knows how to make her laugh, and growing up, she definitely had dreams of taking care of her mom and having her live a certain life, and so that's why she bought her mom a house in Atlanta. I'll tell you one thing, the greatest blessing that you can have in your life is to have the blessing of your mother, especially for someone who has lost their mom. My mom blessed me, she blessed my marriage, and it was really an honor for me to be able to take care of her during her time of sickness. It was nothing for me to do. It was hard, but these are the memories that I have now. Looking back, knowing that she's no longer here, I can see that I had some of the best times with her during her last days. So Angela's mom's telling her that she just got keys to a new house, and Angela's like, well, what's happened to the house that I got you? And her mom says she just wants to be a little bit self-reliant, and she appreciates what Angela's doing for her, but she knows that she has a lot on her plate. She said that she paid about $490,000 for the house that her mom and her sister lived in, and she feels like her efforts were in vain. But girl, if your mom wants to live on her own and she wants to do her own thing, you have to let her. She appreciates what you've done for her and she's grateful for it. So just let her live the way she wants to. Angela still feels away because she said she had dreams of taking care of her mom. But honey bunch, you can show up for her in other ways. You don't have to buy her a house. But the quality time, the love, the care, there are other ways that you can show up for her and still care for her. So she's telling her mom that they need to talk about the situation with Amari. And then we see that Angela had a conversation with Amari present while on the phone with her mom. And she's telling her mom, how come you didn't stand up for Amari? And that reminds her of all of the other times that her mom doesn't stand up. The mom says that she was just shocked. She didn't know what to say. So Angela says, well, let's just talk about it because me and my sister, we don't speak at all. And I know you're in the middle of it. But she feels like her mom also needs to stand up for her because apparently her mother stood up to Charles for her, and they're talking about it because apparently Charles told Angela something about cleaning and the mom didn't like it and she went off on him. Apparently, it's been 3 years that the mom and Charles have not been speaking. And the mom says, well, I just want to write him a letter to explain to him that I'm sorry. Charles is not having it. And she says that she loves Charles very much because it's her son, but the mom still throws some shade about, oh, even if we're the same age, because apparently, Charles is older than Angela. And Angela's like, oh, mom, what you're not going to do is talk about my husband. Her mother saying he's old enough to be your daddy. Okay, Angela? But she and her mom, they hug it off and hopefully they resolve whatever is going on in the family. It's never nice when there's tension in the family, when this one is that place, that one is on the other side, and that one is on the other side. Trust me, I know, I understand, but it's never a nice feeling. Up next, Kelly is teaching her daughter Chloe to drive. Funny as hell. Kelly says that going through a divorce, trying to open a new restaurant, taking care of her 4 children plus a dog, and take care of herself is hard. It's a lot. She's tired by the time she gets home from carpooling. It's a lot. They're talking about what kind of vehicle she wants to get her daughter, and Chloe's like, how about you just get me a small BMW and let's just call it a day. I'm gonna be fine. Her mom's like, well, I can buy you a vehicle, but you still have to be the one maintaining it. You're still the one that has to take care of the bills. She's trying to teach her daughter some responsibility. Hands down to Kelly. She's a great mom. Chloe tells her that she's going to help with the new restaurant. She's really excited for it and she can tell that it's going to be a really, really good restaurant, right? Kelly also shares that her new restaurant, which will be in Sandy Springs, has cost her some coins, honey. She's had to spend a lot of money on the restaurant, but she does tell her daughter that she needs her help even with the hiring or the interview process. She needs her input, and I think it's really cute that she is involving her daughter and, like I said earlier, teaching her responsibility and how to be a businesswoman in the future. Baby Chloe is giving her mother heart attacks, okay? Kelly's trying to tell her, girl, you need to drive for everyone. And Chloe is literally mocking her mom. Oh my god, but this was a cute little scene. Now we're over at Drew's house and she's sitting with her mom and she's talking about how much she has to pay for the attorney bills for the divorce. And she's saying that it's been 2 years that they've been going through this court process. And every time Ralph gets lower and lower and lower, and he hits rock bottom. And at this point, she just feels overwhelmed, but she's grateful that her mom is here for her. She literally just jumped on a flight because she knows that her daughter needs her and she wants to help Drew navigate what she's going through with work and with the children and getting her mental health to a better place. Drew says that she and Ralph are at war with each other and every time they go to court, it's a new fight. Her mom says she's just ready for this divorce to be over with and Drew says she does as well. But she doesn't know because chances are that she might have to find a new lawyer and she has to start all over again and she doesn't know if she'll be able to go through the entire process all over again. She says that she and Ralph has been better co-parents now than they were as a married couple, and this is the little that she is kind of holding on to. Now that's very telling about what the relationship as a married couple was. Because don't tell me you'll have been married for all these years and the best relationship that you'll have is being co-parents to your children. Wow. Says the part that she finds conflicting to her is the fact that Ralph is constantly bashing and bringing Drew down and putting her in a financial situation yet still you claim to love her as the mother of your child. And that makes a lot of sense. So she's like, well, did you even talk to him? And she said, well, the only thing I told him since I've been there is that I thought the courts made a dumb decision. Her mom doesn't agree for Ralph to still be in the house while they're going for a divorce. But like I said earlier, Ralph's name is attached to the mortgage. He's the one who's paying all of the bills. So the court thought it would be best for him to also remain in that house. Her mom feels like this whole living situation is affecting the children because according to her mother, the children are out of control because she's spending all of her day yelling at them, don't do this, stop that, behave yourselves. They're not even listening to her anymore, and that's a problem. Drew gets emotional. She starts crying and she tells her mom, well, she didn't know she felt that way. And her mom's like, well, I'm sorry, but that's the truth. And she's like, I didn't even know my kids were not the same anymore. Drew, how could you not know your children are not the same? You cannot tell that there's a difference in their behavior. You cannot tell that there's a shift in the way they respond to you. Are you serious? Are you kidding me? Are you literally sitting here saying that you have not noticed anything different with your children? I think not. I think you probably didn't expect your mom to say that on camera, but don't sit here and say you didn't realize that there was a difference in your children's behavior. Come on. Drew walks out because she's crying. Her mom starts crying because she's saying that she didn't expect Drew to have to be going through this situation. And Drew's saying in her confessional that when her mom tells her that she sees a change in her children's behavior, this is her worst nightmare and she feels like she's failing them as a mom. Now, Drew, this is too much pressure to put on yourself because both you and Ralph have a responsibility to be the best parents that you can be for these children. Do I think that yours should be pretending like you are not going through this divorce because the court says you shouldn't tell the children? They definitely know, and the fact that it is not being addressed, the fact that you are not talking about it. I mean, one of your sons found an article about y'all, so they very much know what's going on. It's the fact that y'all haven't addressed it yet with them that is alarming and concerning. It's bringing more trauma on these children. So please don't put all of that responsibility on yourself to say that you're failing them as a mom. You do the best that you can to make sure that your children are well disciplined and they're good children. Sit down we've been waiting for. Shamea and Porsha finally meet to sit down and talk about what's been happening in their friendship. And while they sit down, Porsha phone rings. Shamea is looking like, girl, really? Apparently, it's her mom, Miss Diana. She tells her mom she's going to call her back. So they're about to get into the conversation. Porsha's like, girl, you're giving reserve energy. And she's saying in her confessional that all of these feelings that Shamea has been holding on to and secretly expressing to other people, she hasn't been privy to that information. Shamea, on the other hand, is saying in her confessional that Porsha has been her best friend for decades and she doesn't want to be at odds with her best friend, but today she wants to be heard. So Shamea starts by saying that she wants to apologize to Porsha for not being open about her feelings over the years, but there has been things in their relationship that has hurt her feelings a lot, but she tends to mask things because she handles their friendship with care. So Portia says, well, you had already discussed some of those things prior to me knowing, and that's how it got to me. Shamia's like, girl, the difference between you and I is when something happens between us, I don't go crazy about it right there and then. But you, on the other hand, you're going to do like petty stuff. You will talk over me, like how you did when I was playing my music. And you come off as being very dismissive towards me, and that's very hurtful. So moving forward, I would like when I feel some type of way about something. While she's saying her statement, Portia lets out a loud sigh, and Shamia clocks her and she's like, "Oh, you tired? You yawning? Am I boring you?" And Portia's like, girl, I'm just taking a breath. This is a little bit uncomfortable for me. And she's like, uncomfortable? Why is it uncomfortable for you to hear me expressing myself? And so Portia says, well, it's an uncomfortable situation. Now, I don't feel like Portia was being dismissive. I think she was really just uncomfortable. And she just doesn't want to have this blow up with her best friend on camera. This is what I am reading. Portia says in her confessional that she's a little bit confused as to some of the things that Shamia is now bringing up because these are things that they've talked about in the past. And Shamia feels like Portia took what the ladies were telling her and she just ran with it, even if she felt like when they said stuff about her that wasn't nice, she shut it down. So Shamia tells Portia, well, I'm here to resolve and possibly salvage a friendship. Just like, girl, really? Possibly? We're on the edge of our friendship? Please don't do this. And Shamia's telling her, girl, you're being really dismissive. Shamia tells her, well, if I was doing nonverbal communications with you, you would feel like I was dismissing your feelings. But what really hurts me is the fact that you said your mom told you don't trust me and the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. And Portia's like, girl, that's what my mom said. I was just telling you what she said, but it doesn't mean that this is how I feel. And so Shamia says, well, yes, you did feel that way because you said you were pulling away from me because of what your mom said. And Portia said, that's not true. Shamia's like, girl, just be honest about what's happening because you did say that. Shamia says, I wish we could be the way we were on camera. You said they don't pay you enough money for that. Now, if Portia said that, I'd be like, girl, did she say it in a joke though? Joke or no joke? That's kind of weird. That's a weird statement to make. At this point, Shamia is just ready to expose everything about Portia. She doesn't care. She's going to say everything she has on her chest to see. And Portia is like, girl, stop doing this for the camera. Let's not do this on camera. Our friendship is worth more than that. Shamia is not having it. She's just mad and she's just saying everything that she needs to say. Shamia's like, girl, I need the Porsche off camera to show up on camera. And Portia is like, girl, please stop doing this for the show. And Shamia's like, why do you think I'm doing this for the show? Portia starts getting emotional and she's like, Shamia, please don't do this. She walks up, she goes to the washroom or wherever because she's crying. And Shamia is not backing down at all. So Portia comes back and she asks for the waiter to have their food wrapped up to go. And so Shamia is like, well, I really hate that we didn't get to resolve what we came here for because I really did want us to resolve our issues. And Portia says, well, we aren't talking anymore. And so Shamia tells her, well, we aren't talking because you started crying and I cannot read your mind. And I've been asking you what I did wrong in that moment because you just kept on telling me to stop. And so Portia says, well, I'm just human. I'm a little bit overwhelmed and I'm just trying to do the best that I can. That's all. And Shamia says, well, we both feel the same way because I'm also going through things. I have a lot going through as well, but I often mask how I'm feeling because I love you and I want to handle our friendship with care because you are often in a fragile place. But she just also wants for her to be able to share how she's feeling and to point out when something has hurt her in the friendship. While she's talking, Portia shifts the cutlery to the side, and Shamia's just watching her like, girl, are you really serious right now? It's like whatever Portia will do is going to annoy her. But Portia's like, so tell me what I need to do to be a better friend to you. She didn't say to be a better friend to you, but that's what she was insinuating. And so Shamia tells her, I just don't want to be dismissed and I want to be heard. Portia tells her, I don't want to break up with you, Shamia. She gets emotional. She kind of swallows her cry when she was about to cry. And I feel like these two genuinely love each other. I feel like they genuinely have a real friendship with each other. Of course, there will be ups and downs in any relationship, but like they agreed, let's just talk to each other and not allow outside noise to interfere with what's going on with us. Porsha does apologize to Shamea, and she says moving forward, if something hurts her, let it just be about the two of them. They hug it out, and I would have hoped that this would have been mending of the relationship moving forward, but as we know in real time, they're still not getting along. And I guess it's because they were both watching on each other's screen what has been happening in the background and getting perspective on how things have been played out on the show, and they're not on talking terms as of now. It's really sad, and I would have hoped that they would have mended their relationship, but let's hope that they're talking about it. Although Porsha just blasted her again on social media, Shamea doesn't like that, of course, because she said Porsha tends to get petty on social media. But let's just hope that these two can come to a resolve, because like I said earlier, I really do think that there is a real friendship and there is real love between these two. This is where the episode ends on the Real Housewives of Atlanta, season 16, episode 11. Guys, I want to know all of your thoughts on this episode. In the next episode, we see Phaedra Parks is coming to town. She's going to be in the whole scene and everything like that. But let me know what you thought about the Shamea and Porsha of it all, their conversation. What do you think? Do you think Porsha was being genuine? I'll meet you all in the comments and we'll talk about it. But until then, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel if you're new here and you're seeing my recaps for the very first time. So glad to have you, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye. Kay Unscripted, no